A couple hours later, how do you look at what happened last night and use that going into Game 4?
Yeah, literally the same I felt 12 hours ago. So, we're just going to continue to stay in the fight. The most important thing is understanding that every game is completely different. Take on different sub-patterns, different adjustments, different mentality, and just got to stick to the margins and the details and the physicality.
You talked about the killer instinct before. How important is that for this one going in all the way through?
I mean, it's important in every game. So just not having expectation or understanding, other than it's going to go the way it's supposed to go. So just got to be ready, for their attack and just continue to chip away at it.
And, just effusive in their praise for you. Second year around now, and their trust that they have in you. Is there an area or two maybe that you feel you've grown the most in this role, being back this year?
Yeah, really just time. We talk about that a lot. The players and I and the staff, we've had time to just figure out how they want to go about doing things together. And so it's a real credit to them. I think in a game like yesterday, coaches can be handcuffed by feeling like they can't go to something because they haven't done it before or see a different lineup or a different sub-pattern. So, the guys did a great job of just staying open-minded, just looking for new ways to just chip away at the lead. And so I think when you have that relationship, you have that trust, you have that buy-in, you're able to do those things. So, it's just a credit to them. And then, like you said, just the time to, hey, here's how we're going to handle situations, here's how we're going to do it. And, so it starts with them.
Joe, you were on it for over a year. Things feel more comfortable. This time last year at Eastern Conference compared to last year, how would you assess that? How do you feel?
Well, I mean, the numbers are literally flipped, so that would start with that. But I think that's a situation when you're in any situation, sometimes you find out why you're in it a day later, a week later, a month later, sometimes a year later. So I think it's more important to just focus on in the position we were last year, what can we learn from that? And then I think the position we're in now, we say, okay, that's why we had to go through what we had to go through, was to gain the experience, gain the mindset, gain the pain, all the things that went into that, and try to use it for this. And it doesn't mean anything other than we have to have the humility and the perspective to understand what we've been through and try to use it to get to where we want to go.
Like, hey, maybe you get out of it in the second quarter on your own, or the third quarter on your own. You don't need that timeout next time.
I mean, I think that's the trap, right? Is to say, okay, well, we got to figure it out now, right? That's the trap. So it may take another timeout. It may not go to the floor. It really doesn't matter when it happens. The fact is that it has to happen. And at the end of the day, we're playing against another team that's fighting for their life just as much as we should be. And so I think saying like, okay, we got it now. We're not going to need a timeout or a meeting or whatever the case may be. It's just not how it should go. Like it's just going to go the way it goes. We just got to train it to handle it and take it on. And so I think it's more about that. Like just because we did it once, we have to make the choice to do it over and over again for however long we have the opportunity to play.
Is that the mental and physical toughness that your team showed in Game 1 and Game 3? Game 2, you went low out of fashion. What you showed last night?
I would say Game 2 was just as much about toughness, being able to execute and do the things that you do. And we're just going to have to do more of it. I think expecting it to be anything other than even harder than it was last night is kind of how we have to go about it.
How much does it help that most of the players on this team know exactly where Indiana is? But they had that situation a year ago, like you said, that they had to come back from home. So help them when what you're trying to talk to them.
Yeah, I would imagine, like you said, like you're in those situations, to be able to open those, and you can use them at different times. And so it's a gift that we've been given, the situation that we were in last year. But it's not. You can apply some things to it, but it's also a completely different team, completely different dynamic, completely different season. So like you can pull from that a little bit, but at the end of the day, like there's no reason why we're not as, I don't want to use the word desperate, but there's no reason why we're not as with such an urgency that Indiana has. We need to have that as well.
Game 2, you guys were pretty relentless in attacking weaknesses in their defense. Last night might have been a little bit different. They flattened you out a little bit more. Does that aspect of your offense sort of vary from game to game as far as how much you're attacking certain spots?
Everything depends on the coverage in the matchup. And so you take a look at Game 2 with Halliburton playing, they played a different defensive coverage than they did last night. And so it's kind of the way you attack and the type of spacing that you have and the reads that you have are going to be different because the coverage is different. So the coverages were a little bit different last night because they had a different team out there, and we were able to take advantage of those in a different way. And so I think it's just more about that, finding the advantage and making sure we can exploit it as a team.
Hey, Joe, are there any updates on Kristaps?
No.
Joe, you want to be able to get to that zone in a spot like this, maybe where the defense is struggling early in that game. What did that bring to the game last night? And what did it say? The zone, yeah. And
what did more layups for?
What did it say that a group was able to, that hadn't played a lot together, was kind of able to get to that?
I wouldn't say it was very good. So, but what I think it did do is it just kept us kind of figuring it out, and that's the more important thing. Whether it was the zone, whether it was the matchup change, the coverage change, we figured it out. And so I didn't think the zone was overly effective, but what it did do was it just allowed us to stay open-minded. It allowed us to just change the dynamic of the game a little bit, chip away. I didn't think it was overly effective, but it just kept us kind of like, okay, let's just try to keep figuring it out. And I think that's the most important thing from last night is we just found different ways to figure it out. I think that's important.
So maybe there's no difference, no update on Kristaps because he's been out due to injury. Can you say he's not going to play tomorrow night right now?
I can't say anything. I have no idea. I'm not the doctors.
Joe, do you allow yourself to think about the fact that you guys are 1 away from the finals?
Yeah, I mean, you can't run away from that. It's just how you process that, how you handle that. You have to sit there and say, yes, we're 1 away, but we're 48 minutes, 200 possessions. Like, you got to look at the details of that. And so, yes, that's the obvious one that you can't ignore. But you just got to break it down further and further. And also, you can't have the expectations that you're going to do it tomorrow. Like, you have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea what kind of game it's been. As you saw in this series, every game has taken on a life of its own. So we just have to stay prepared and understanding of what the details are, and then just be open-minded to take on whatever we need to take on for tomorrow's game.
Joe, you were particularly chipper after last night's game. Was it just the process? Was it just you were happy? You were like, I happy to see you even after a win, as excited and chipper as you were.
Yeah.
Was that just the process of winning that game? Was it just the being down, coming back? Was it just that whole thing that just kind of got you going? Because there's certain things that get you going about the process.
No, I mean, I enjoyed the whole game. I was really happy to. I thought that was a fun game to just be a part of. I really liked, like I said, I felt like it felt a lot worse than it actually was. And then once we just embraced the situation that we were in, it was fun. It was fun watching the guys stick together, fun watching them figure it out, fun watching them chip away, fun watching us struggle. And, I really enjoy moments like that. So, yeah, I had fun last night.
A lot of times you never see the coach show much emotion. Is that kind of because you like to just watch what they're doing and that's how you kind of get your joy of
I think you just kind of find it in different ways. You just kind of be what your team needs you to be sometimes. And, you pick and choose your spots with it. Just finding different ways to react, but different ways to affect the energy of the game. So I think it just kind of changes from timeout to timeout, game to game, situation to situation.
Is that kind of why you coach?
Final question for Joe.
I mean, I coach because I'm not really good at anything else, but I also enjoy being around people. I enjoy being around the guys. I enjoy watching them. I enjoy being part of something where it's more important than me. Like, you're out there today. Like, it took a whole team effort, but between the staff, between the players, between the organization. So you coach because you get to be around something bigger than yourself.
Great. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.